What's happening, sports fans? We welcome you back. We're finally back. Hey, look, I appreciate the fact that there was actually a couple of DMs starting to trickle in saying, hey, you guys okay? We missed you guys. Yes. Took a couple weeks off to get married, have a honeymoon, and then just be busy catching up on everything while letting the juices marinate on the tail end of a football season that it largely was chalk at the beginning and has now just wound up being chalk thrown in everybody's faces and making everybody have a funny face and kind of go, I want football season to come to at least the playoffs, if not the overall end. Christian Pedersen, Tommy Morris, Bodie De Silva. Bodie is here, as always, on behalf of Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of the entire state. But we only care about Bodie. Actually, we care about all of Scorebook Live right now because they do provide excellent brackets and apps and scores and everything. So make sure you go download their app so you can follow along. We already posted the brackets for all of the volleyball. And, well, I'll be damned if I see Bodie out there. I will try my best to get Bodie to come to something other than a Torrey Pines volleyball game, but I'll take it if it's just Torrey Pines.
I'll be out there.
This is the football show, though, and that is the intern making her triumphant return to the show. The intern says that she misses you, Tommy. She misses you not quite as much, Bodie, but she does miss you as well. We want to get to everything football related. That includes the 8-man playoffs as well as the last week of the regular season for the 11-man. Just talking about the 8-man playoffs, though, we can go ahead and say that you can, again, get the brackets on Scorebook Live. You can also find them on our social media or on the CIF website. Guys, the sneaky kind of quiet news coming out here is that Foothills Christian, the perennial 8-man powerhouse the last decade or so, has moved on to be an 11-man school. So what we got is 2 games happening this Friday. Yes, thank you, intern. Number 1, San Diego Jewish Academy is playing the number 4 San Pasqual Academy. And then Victory Christian Academy is taking on Ocean View in the other side of that bracket. Bodie, what do you got here?
Hold on as I pull it up here. I'm trying to get all these different ones. Yeah. So with the 14 bracket, I mean, these teams, I kind of thought in the past that they had an extra week, but they don't come in right in. So the way San Diego Jewish Academy's been playing, it's really tough to pick against them this year. Offensively, and I know with 8-man, you got less guys on the field, you're going to have more scoring, but the way they've scored really on everyone this year, I mean, they come into the playoffs, they've scored 60, 70, and 62 their last 3. It's tough to think that they can be slowed down, even if they have a game where they were to give up 30 or 40. So I got to go with San Diego Jewish Academy here.
Tommy, your thoughts in general on the bracket. Who do you like?
Yeah, going back to that, I mean, the least amount of points that Jewish Academy has scored was 34 points, and that was against Victory Christian. So they score a lot, and so they have not really struggled offensively at all, so to speak. Victory Christian was their closest game, which plays out and makes sense because they're the 2 seed. San Pasqual is a pretty good team too, so they have one common opponent between the 2 of them. It's going to be their first game. Jewish Academy's first game will be San Pasqual. They both play Victory Christian. Obviously, Jewish Academy with an undefeated record won that game. And San Pasqual lost it. So if you look at common opponents, it looks like we're going to see Victory Christian and San Diego Jewish Academy in the finals. And I think that'll be a very good game. So I'm looking forward to this. If you've never seen an 8-man game, go watch at least one. It's different. It's gimmicky, but it's fun because there's, again, kind of like Bodie said, it's harder to stop people because there's a lot more open field. You're missing a whole layer of defense basically. So they're fun games to watch because they're high paced and there's a lot of scoring.
And that is what you like. You like scoring. You like running the dang ball, but you just like offense in general. It seems like it's San Diego Jewish Academy's bracket/championship to lose. The first round, as we said, is being played this weekend or this Friday. The next championship game the championship game itself is going to be November 6th. We will have all of the previews and information as we get a little bit closer to there. Guys, I want to transition into the final week of the regular season. A lot of stories to get to. Let's at least address here at the beginning of it, the stirred up, if not ongoing controversy surrounding the Lincoln Cathedral game. Earlier today, Coach Dunn was on KUSI with Paul Rudy. Highly encourage you guys to go check that out because sometimes on this, you just need source information. You need it straight from the source. There was a press release that came out earlier this week from Lincoln saying that due to, ongoing circumstances, they just feel that it is not in the best interest of their school community to play this game. I encourage you guys to, again, go read that directly instead of listening to me paraphrase it. I get that Bodie, Tommy, and I are three white guys who went to affluent schools and probably come across a tad bit preachy. So let's not have this be a social injustice versus justice debate. I think there are a lot of really interesting angles that maybe have less to do with social justice or football or anything like that, and more to just do with a couple of adults making some smart decisions about keeping people safe. And Bodie can tell you that there were ongoing conversations well before this Tuesday. This was not a press release that was just dropped on a Tuesday to, spitefully say, hey, we got to get out of this game on Friday. So knock out all of that nonsense. The discussion that I do want to have, though, is in the football related sense of this, guys. This puts us in a situation where Lincoln is now a team that will have under 9 games. We talked about Sweetwater. I'm looking through Modern Day also is a team that we did not get to in our pre-show production that has under the 9 games. It provides potential rubricing differences for Cathedral. It's going to have some ripple effects beyond just what was supposed to happen Friday night at Lincoln. Tommy, Bodie, what can we, without diving too deep into, this is not a social justice show in the sense that the three of us white guys are going to solve everything about this, but just at least in terms of the football context, what are some of the ramifications you're seeing from this result? Or non-result, if you will. I don't know if we have Tommy right now. So, Bodie, you want to jump in and just let us know? Tommy, what are you eating? Oh, an excellent
San Diego delicacy. Sorry.
Never apologize. Never apologize for a board and brew snack in the middle.
I'm trying to discreetly eat it by putting myself on no video.
What did you get from Board and Brew?
Ball hot chicken, of course.
We'll put it on the poll at SD Prep Insider. Does Board and Brew always hit the spot? Back to the question at hand, though. What's going to be some of the trickle down potentially of this game, and what maybe are some of the football things that people aren't thinking about that this could come back to have some impact?
Well, I'll say there's 2 things here. So this is going to mean that Lincoln's only going to get 8 games. So we had this kind of discussion beginning of the year in relation to COVID, and that you could cancel one, but you can't really cancel 2. But now it's kind of a common sense thing where I don't think that CAF is going to stick to that in this instance. So as of right now, unless they change it, it is currently a win for Cathedral for the power rankings, and it's a no contest for Lincoln, which is how I think they should probably keep it like that, or just make it just a no contest in general. But that's what it is right now. So you could argue that it should be a no contest for both, but as of right now, that's what's going to go down as. So there are huge ramifications for this because that's a 50-point game. You look at the power rankings for Cathedral because Lincoln is still a Division I school in that 75% up victory bracket. If they played the game, that'd be a 48-point win. So there's a lot of little things right now that are happening, and again, this could result in Cathedral walking their way into a 1 seed or 2 seed just based on the fact this game never happened.
Bodie?
Yeah, no, much like Tommy said, it is a big difference there in the 50 versus 48. And likely what it means is whether Cathedral gets a first round home playoff game or has to go on the road in what would likely be at Mission Hills unless there's some sort of upset with Carlsbad and Vista, which I wouldn't anticipate. Carlsbad looks to be the 1 seed, and then from there kind of trickles down. And you think Torrey Pines will be the 4. If they win, they will be. And if not, maybe Madison jumps in, and or even Helix. So there's a bunch of different scenarios there, but the big thing is just with the game not being played and it being as a no contest, Cathedral gets the 50 versus 48. So not really a shock. I mean, we kind of figured for a few weeks that's how it would be. Even before Lincoln's loss to Madison, it seemed like they may get squeezed out of this situation. So going into this last week, it's a pretty good idea of who the 3 playoff teams are and a battle for the 4th.
Welcome back to the conversation. Helix, kind of coming in sneaky there. The Undertaker style, just the thumb comes out from under the dirt. You know, he's good. He's going to survive. Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation that ultimately can't be unentangled from the two versions of this, social media or social justice, football, America, sports as a backdrop type conversation. But at least for the immediate impact here in terms of high school football information, it thankfully is not going to be something where it's going to knock a team in or out of an open division situation. This is not the Kearney basketball team from a couple of years ago, forfeiting a game in order to get out of open division and go win a D1 championship. It's going to affect some seeding. But it's not going to ultimately be there's no nefarious power play to try and do something that's going to jostle all of the rankings, because football itself is taking care of that. I'm looking across all of the other divisions. We're not going to go division by division because the season's going to be over soon enough that it's all going to happen. But when we did this, guys, a couple of weeks ago, and we were looking at all these divisions, I felt like we sort of painted a picture of like, here's what the D2, 3, 4, and 5 races are all going to look like. And we did a bad job. We did an awful job. Mira Mesa is the real deal, it would seem, and is coming for all the smoke in Division 2. Division 3, as much as we thought it was going to be Modern Day running away with it, and not that anybody has proven otherwise directly against Modern Day, but Mount Carmel is much more of a significant real deal. As much as I was all in on Wesleyan, Mount Carmel very much proving that they can handle toe-to-toe with anybody in big situations. I think they have made that more of a conversation than it was beforehand. Division 4, you got Patrick Henry, and then everybody else is tied at is going to end the season right around 5-5. And then D5, Palo Verde and Mission Bay 1-2, certainly a fall off after that, but it's not the runaway one that we were talking about. So going into this last week of games, we have a couple of game previews and predictions that we're going to do specifically. But guys, I just wanted to open it up to ask you, what are you looking at? Is there any plot lines that you're going to be doing a little bit of scoreboard watching on out of curiosity or otherwise this week?
Yeah, the first one I look at, like you mentioned in Division 2 there, is Mira Mesa. I saw them play last week, and entering that game, they were sitting at number 7, and I talked pregame about how maybe if they win a game or two on their way out, they can move up and grab one of the first four buys there in the Division 2 playoffs. But by beating Scripps Ranch, they jumped all the way to number 2. And where they sit right now, they would flip Scripps Ranch because of the head-to-head and would take the number 1 seed. So super impressive stuff from them there. Now they do have to up with a non-league game against Madison, so there's no guarantee of a win there to finish, because we know how good Madison's been this season. But for Mira Mesa to make that jump, finish league play 3-2, that was really impressive to me there. And then La Jolla is the other one, and I know how difficult their schedule's been this year, and they sit at the 3 seat. So despite being really, when you look down that whole group, the only other team under 500, you have to go all the way down to 11 at Point Loma. So we know La Jolla can play, and when they're at full strength, they have Jackson Stratton that they're competitive with just about anyone in the county. So hopefully they have him healthy for the playoffs and run there and look like they may have one of these 4 first-round buys.
Yeah, I was going to talk about La Jolla too, because it is interesting. Their schedule has been very, very hard, and probably the hardest in that division. So, I've always felt like it helps you a lot in the playoffs when you're playing open division teams, Division 1 teams the whole season, and all of a sudden you get to playoffs, you get to play people in your own division. I think that's a massive advantage. So I don't care where La Jolla is seated. At the end of all this, they're still a favorite to me. Scripps Ranch, obviously a favorite. I know they lost their first game last week, but it's a team that is, I can play with anybody in this division just like anybody else. So we'll see what happens. But and then again, you already hit on it. Mira Mesa, they haven't lost since I think it was September 17th. The last time they lost the game was week 3. So they've been hot, and they're getting hot at the right time. But it's a program that has been good, historically, and is now looking like they're coming back. So Division 2 looks pretty good. Division 4, I think, is going to be the crazy one, because I think there's realistically about 5 teams that can win that. So Division 4 is going to be open for pretty much anyone to win that thing. I think of all the divisions, it has the most teams that I could see winning everything. And then Division 5, if you go down there, I mean, I think Mission Bay is clearly the favorite there. I know they've been banged up recently in the last couple of weeks. I think by the time playoff comes around, they will be healthy and back to full strength, and that'll be huge for them. So I like Mission Bay in Division 5. And then Open Division, we pretty much know what we're going to get. Like we discussed, there's still that 4th spot up for grabs, but those first 3 teams are going to be the ones that everyone's going to be watching anyway. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Division 3 here. At the top, it's just super loaded. I look at a team like West Hills, who's going to finish up with a big game for the league title against El Capitan this week. Do wonder if that game with a win there could push them into a situation of getting a bye, because if West Hills finishes up at 10-0, 6-0 in league and doesn't get a first round bye, that'd be a really tough situation for them. But I mean, it's just one more game to play. Not that they couldn't go the next round and go win a game at Ramona or whoever the 4 seed ended up being. But Division 3 is one where there's a ton of talent. It's super loaded, and really looking forward to those semifinal games when those matchups happen.
Yeah, just on principle, 10-0 and doesn't get a home game in the playoffs sounds like the most you've been done dirty possible scenario. Like, I don't think there is a more
well, I shouldn't say no home game, because it would be, they wouldn't get a first round bye. It'd be one home game and then on the road. So that's brutal though still.
Well, so then one home game, one game on the road, and then a championship game. It would be
correct. Yeah.
Where do we has CIF announced where they're playing the championship games this year? It's at higher seed, or is it at high schools?
So I will grab the full thing. The majority of I know the higher seed games will be at Escondido High School, but not all of them are there. So I will tell you that shortly as I pull that up. I know I believe Division 6. So Division 6 will be at Mission Bay. Open Division D1, 2, 3, and 4 are all at Escondido, and then Division 5 will be at Grossmont.
That's a bummer, man. That's a legitimate bummer. That is a legitimate bummer. That is that's a tough thing to swallow. I don't know what the solution is to getting us back into the swing of things, of having these venues being more available, but that is a bummer. That can't happen. We apologize for the squeaking in the background. The intern got a new toy yesterday, and she's being an absolute jerk today with it. Kingsley, thank you. We appreciate your input on the show. She definitely, hold on a second. Okay, I apologize again for that. First week back for everybody. Tommy, I know that you are somewhat not wanting to necessarily comment directly on the Division 4 race, but the D4 one feels like the most wide open one right now.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. I think there's realistically 5 or 6 teams that can win that thing, and it'll be, I think, the most fun one to watch, because you can pretty much, I hate using this term, but it's true. You can pretty much throw the seeds out the window for this one and let them play out the way they do. I think as of right now, I'm pretty sure Patrick Henry's locked in at 1. This week.
And then 6 of the next 9 teams are 5 and 4.
Right, and I think University City, no matter what happens this week, is locked in at 2. Or they have to win, I think, but they'll be the 2 seed. They can't surpass Patrick Henry for the 1 seed, and they couldn't anyway because they lost Patrick Henry. So they would be the flop thing. So 1 and 2 are the seeds are kind of solidified, or at least the bye weeks, but it's such a. It is by far the one with the most. What's the right word for this? Not disparity. What's the opposite of disparity?
Parity?
Parity, yes. Oh, disparity means really? Huh.
I'd never put that together either. So.
Yeah, I just put that together right now. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. That is actually life changing. Anyway, yeah, Division 4 by far is the most parity. So it'll be interesting to see the way that shakes out, because it really is anybody's division win.
Yeah, in Division 4, Del Norte is a team I'm looking at. They have a sophomore quarterback, Jack Schneider, who's put up some really impressive numbers. Only a sophomore, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. They lost against Poway and Mount Carmel teams in higher divisions, as well as Rancho Bernardo, but they took down La Jolla at home. They put 42 points up against Vista, 49 against Westview. This is a team that I think in a Division 4 battle, you're going to have to keep scoring with them, because they've shown that they can do that.
Well, and also going back to La Jolla really quick, they had to play a lot of games without Jackson Stratton. So that is not reflected in the rankings. It's just, did you win or lose? So they're going to be underseeded because of that. And so I don't care. Again, like I said earlier, I don't care where they're seated. They're probably my favorite to win the division.
La Jolla still is?
Yeah. Division 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, if Jackson's playing, I'm not going to argue with Tommy there.
I mean, what version of Jackson are we going to get for the playoffs? Should we get Jackson?
Well, what is he? Is he going to be out taking drops with crutches? I mean, I assume if he's playing, he's pretty healthy.
See, I saw Tyler Buckner's comeback game from after. I mean, I granted that this is not a knee ACL, full year off type thing, but I saw Tyler Buckner's first game back from taking extended time off. Quarterbacks, man, they can be a fickle one on returning. Your timing is a half second off, and 3 passes that would have been great passes get intercepted by Max Smith, and you end up looking like, there's rust on your game. I don't know. I'm hesitant. I am also the most emotionally out of control La Jolla fan. It ebbs and flows, ups and down. So maybe I don't go all in. I just go 99% of the way in. I gotta say though that the Mira Mesa one surprises me the most and gives me the reason to not be overly confident in La Jolla, just out of the fact that of any of these races, they've come out of kind of nowhere. They were not being given any credit to be potentially a championship team. And then Scripps came in and we're like, oh, wow, this is now a 2-horse race. This now feels like this is, you catch the wrong team on the road, someone gets an upset. This could be chaos. But Tommy, small part of me appreciates and loves your optimism. Let's get to some of our game previews, guys, because Mira Mesa is the ultimate segue into our first game. They are taking on Madison this week. Madison last week with one of the bigger upsets, if you will, as they took down Lincoln. The really young team. And, we had them in here earlier in the season, preseason even, with Rick Jackson and company. And he was talking about how, they're still trying to find their identity. I think at this point in the season, they have found that identity. They are 7-2. And, Mira Mesa, the only thing between an 8-2 season, which that's a successful year for Madison. Mira Mesa on the flip side, this would continue to be signature win after signature win for a season that has been filled with a ton of emotion, including the loss of Chris Thompson, their beloved head coach this year. Bodie, let's start with you on this one. How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, getting to see Mira Mesa in person last week was really impressive. Sophomore quarterback Tyson Lyon's been great. Junior running back Mekhi Thompson's a great player, had a huge sack on defense, showing that he can kind of play on both sides. I like Madison here in this situation. Rick Jackson's son, Jake Jackson, has been a great receiver all year. I think him and quarterback Reggie Johnson have a really good connection there. So I would expect Madison to take this one.
Tommy.
Yeah, I like Madison too. Just to mention those two guys Bodie just mentioned too. Jake Jackson, kind of ironic, he has 656 receiving yards. I think he's 6'5", so the same numbers there. So far this season, 9 touchdowns. Mekhi Thompson, great player, 113 rushing yards per game. And Mira Mesa, like I said earlier, has not lost since week 3. So this is going to be a very close game. I like Madison by a touchdown here, but this is going to be a very, very close game, and I think a very good game as well.
I will take Madison, but I will take the over. I see this one being a lot of scoring. Our next game that we got is a rivalry game, La Costa Canyon and Torrey Pines. This one, I feel like both of these teams could be 0-9, and somehow you'd still get a great game out of this one. LCC has had some freshmen and underclassmen kind of step up, and the future looks bright. Torrey has a tough schedule, and every year, a couple of potential losses to huge teams wind up with maybe the schedule doesn't adequately reflect how good this squad is. This is Bodie. This is the battle. There's
the Beach Bowl.
The Beach Bowl. Who will be
one of the best trophies too, by far.
Oh yeah, the surfboard.
Yeah, who's gonna end up hanging loose, and who's gonna end up with their head buried in the sand? Who's gonna get a bad sunburn out of this game? Tommy, we'll start with you.
I like the sunburn to go to LCC and the hang loose go to Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines, 211 rushing yards per game so far this year. they've kind of reverted back to the old Torrey Pines where they just ground and pound. I don't think they're going to mess around with the spread anymore. I think that was kind of an experiment last year they weren't too fond of. So I like Torrey Pines in this game, but you did mention it, the youth of LCC. This team is not far away from making the discussion for one of the better teams in Division One. So I like Torrey Pines this year, but LCC's close. They're gaining ground.
Bodie?
I will give my prediction and then some breaking news here I'm seeing on the Twitter timeline. So
no, F the prediction. Go to the breaking news.
Okay, a tweet from our friend Troy Hirsch at Fox 5. He says, per CIF Commissioner Joe Hines, that Lincoln will be given a forfeit loss after deciding not to play. So that answers our question earlier of, I guess that would give Cathedral a 48-point win instead of 50 like we brought up earlier. So that appears to be the case. And I didn't think that's how it would be, but that's what CIF appears to have determined.
Deal. All right, give us your prediction now.
Back to the prediction. I will go with Torrey Pines in a close one. I know they're a little beat up here, but I think on the ground game, the offensive line's really good for Torrey Pines and the way they've really run the ball these last few weeks. La Costa, though, started the year 1-3, pulled off 4 in a row, really got better there. They fell to Carlsbad, not a bad thing at all. But when you look at Torrey Pines' body of work, their only 3 losses are to Carlsbad, Cathedral, and Mission Hills, 3 teams that are going to be in the open division and might be joining them. So like last year, it's tough, but you only lose to the ones above you. Definitely frustrating, but I think still signs of a good team there.
I will take LCC and I will take the under on this one. Next game we got this is the Bell game, I believe is the title of this one. Look, we're lucky that we get names and rosters right, given the limited amount of information provided to us. I'm not going to always get the rivalry names right, but Brawley and Central going at it. This one lately has been all Central. I believe they've won the last 3 years. Brawley going to come back into this one, or is Central going to continue their dominance? I have Central again in this one. I think that right now the Tides have just been in their favor. They've been a little bit better football program executing on the offensive and defensive side. We've seen them make some playoff runs deep. They've always got good passing. And so I'm going with Central. Brawley, Tommy, is your kryptonite, though, in terms of picking for or against. So I will be curious to know how you are willing. Do you think that enough people, I think everyone has graduated finally from that fiasco. Do you think that enough people have moved on that you're willing to still pick against Brawley?
Never again. I like Brawley in this one. No. Maybe later. I don't know. But yeah, I like Brawley in this one. 3-0 in league, 7-2 on the season. They've got some pretty good quality. They got some pretty good quality wins. I just think that for this one, we'll call is it the Bell game?
Yes.
Yeah. It's also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is for the league title. It is. They're both 3-0 in Imperial Valley League play. I like Brawley in this one. They've looked good as of late. They haven't lost. I like that we haven't lost since stats. They haven't lost since August 27th of this year. So they lost the first 2 games and have not lost since. So I like Brawley in this one, but it will be close. I think Brawley by 3 points.
Yeah, I'll join Tommy here and go with Brawley. I think this game is extremely close. Even when you look at opponents that they've both played, it's crazy how close they are there. They both played Southwest El Centro. Brawley won by 44, Central won by 42. You look at Calexico, Brawley won by 41, Calexico won by 36. So really as close as it gets. I think Brawley goes on the road and gets one here to kind of end that losing streak.
Last game that we got is Helix and Granite Hills. Bodie earlier in the show alluded to there's a weird permutation that winds up with Helix clawing their way maybe back into a conversation about open division and some of the playoffs. I think that a lot of people not only had them dead, but buried, eulogized, and moved on from as an entire program based off of some of the results earlier in the season. It would very much seem that is no longer the case. But I'm curious, every game I feel like we've watched a couple of schools this year like Helix who are in that upper discussion, and we're like, are they the real deal? Aren't they the real deal? What's going on there? We got a little bit of a transition, with What's going on with Saints? What's going on with Mission Hills? Is Carlsbad going to maintain this goodness? Things just didn't feel on quite as rock solid of footing this year with some of the elite programs here in San Diego. So, rivalry game. Granite's got some decent offensive options, and at least I'm curious. I shouldn't say you're just curious. At least I'm curious about this one. And so I've got it on my eyes. Bodie?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Helix here. Their standout running back, Christian Washington. It's tough to say he's really gone under the radar when you're the star running back at Helix, but looking at his numbers, I just feel like he has. It's 42 touchdowns now in his career. A guy that can do it in the passing game. He's a great kickoff return guy, averaging 8 yards per carry, over 140 yards per game. I just think that's going to be too much for Granite Hills. And I'll give you even a score here. I will go Helix 28-17.
Tommy?
Solid. I kind of like that score, but I think a lot of people came into this year thinking this is the year we're going to be able to get Helix finally. I know a lot of teams in this league specifically, whether it be Grossmont, Granite Hills, I know Seal Canyon got them pretty recently, but they've been waiting for an opportunity. I think a lot of teams were smelling blood when the season started. But when you look at Helix's schedule, I mean, yes, they have 3 losses, which for them is like a travesty. You know what I mean? Like they're not used to losing any games, but they played Mira Mesa close, but I think a lot of people didn't understand that Mira Mesa was as good as they were until now. Otay Ranch they beat. Cathedral is Cathedral, so that they lost that game. That's okay. Saints they beat pretty handily, and then their only other 2 losses were to Servite and Mission Viejo, 2 of the best teams in the state. So this Helix team it's hard to say that they've overperformed, because it is still Helix, and 5-3 for Helix is not anything, crazy or new, but they have lived up to the Helix name and the expectation given their schedule. So I like Helix in this one. We got also mentioned Joaquin Thomas on Granite Hills. I think he started at Helix, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be kind of a revenge game for him. He's a very, very good player over there in the blue uniform, but I like the guys in the green for this week.
Yeah, this is one I look at where if Helix ends up in Division I, which it looks like it, I think a Helix Lincoln potential Division I final could be incredible. I think that would be something that would fascinate a lot of people there.
Can I go with the other one being a Madison Lincoln rematch?
I won't argue that.
Damn. Now I don't want to. Now I don't even want to do the next 3 weeks of shows. I just want to fast forward to that week of shows. I'm kidding. Wow. Okay, well, we gotta stop because the show could now go on forever, just doing the different permutations of throwdowns in the D1 championship. But I will say thank you to Bodie and Tommy for being on with us. If you need anything else, follow Tommy at Real Tommy Morris on Twitter for his suggestions on sandwiches, his home improvement tips, his general concept about running the ball. Hey, intern, we got 30 seconds left in the show. You go follow our intern on Instagram as well. Bodie DeSilva, you can follow him at SB Live CA. That's where you can find Scorebook. He is SD Preps. We are San Diego Prep Insider. We're going to be back in, I don't know when we'll be back, maybe Saturday for a little recap show, because playoff brackets will come out Saturday morning. Around noonish. Yeah,
the plan is noon with the meeting starting at 9. So
let's do a little reaction show on Saturday then. Let's agree to we will even get Noah back in. There we go. At it. Hey, also we've met Noah's girlfriend now, and she's all right. She's all right. We understand why Noah has ghosted the show, but we're gonna leave him in the header for as long as we can until he officially tells us that he is adios. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate you all. We'll talk to you guys next week.